Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'll be going through the Essendon versus Carlton game, going through how Carlton in the end were just more efficient. Bad kicking is bad footy, as they say, and I think this could be the turning point in Essendon's season, and I've been sort of calling for it for about a month now, maybe 2 months, that Essendon really should be worried about the teams that are on the draw and their percentage, because I feel like that is what's going to come down to, and even more to the point that I genuinely think their season, getting into the 8, could depend on what team Sydney throw out in round 23 when they play them. Sydney could be so many clear that they just give players a rest, etc., play them out of position, like play Heaney or something. I mean, that's not really out of position, but play him like 40% midfield time or 30% midfield time and just play him as a forward to give him some rest or whatnot away from the crash and bash of the midfield. Give all the experienced guys a rest, potentially even give Brodie Grundy a rest or something like that. That could happen, and which Essendon probably should be capitalising on that if it does. But they should really be worried because, yes, they won all the key indicators, etc. And it was only really efficiency. But this is the second game on the slide. It's the second time that they played a good opposition, and they just got hammered. Absolutely hammered through efficiency. And I think Merritt is now prone to, a tag. I think he was more effectively tagged by Chincotta. I think also, who was it? Cowan also tagged, was it Martin as well? So I think they had almost a double tag involved there. And, it was interesting. I think they almost got the better of the matchups there because Chincotta definitely impacted in the last quarter when the game was there to be won. But anyway, before we jump into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this recap. So in this game, I watched the last about quarter and a half because I was out, but I did catch the last quarter and a half. Was sort of watching it, not really on the AFL app too much, but I was sort of keeping an eye on it. And one thing I did see was Martin's inefficiency. I did see that, and I saw his splits in Supercoach and Fantasy, so I would like to go back and double check his sort of disposal efficiency and everything. Does it have it here? Let me just see. I did have this back from the Swans game that we were reviewing. Let me just double check this to see because it generally, my stats give it a general indicator. Turnovers, Nick Martin, 8 turnovers, 9 clangers. Yeah, that was sort of what I was expecting. Let me see his ball use and his disposal efficiency. It was down at 57%. Yeah, that's what I sort of expected. Apparently pushed up the ground late to provide more of a presence up forward. I think this was in the third quarter. Did kick 2 goals, I believe, in that quarter. Or, I think it was 2 goals. Looking at here, it was 2 goals, 2 in the quarter. There's behind. 2 goals, 2 in the quarter, which is a huge effort. But am I slightly worried about Nick Martin's role? Slightly, but he's still putting up the scores, and I think he put up maybe an 85 in Supercoach. Let me just double check that. It was still an all-right score. It wasn't perfect, but it was all right. Let me just double check what that was. In the end, it was a 92. So that's not even that bad for such a horrific game. If he has, say, even half, if he has 6 turnovers, 6 clangers there, that's probably still a 110 in Supercoach, which is still pretty decent. It's not massive, like we saw with the Errol Gordon, the Brodie Grundy went huge in Supercoach, the Max Gaunds, the Sammy Flanders, the Bodie Hewland, I think also went huge. But it is something that it's a start. Merritt got tagged for a 100, which just shows his ability, and someone that I would like to look at next year, as I'm already sort of planning for next year, even though we have sort of 2 months to go still. Just to make both my content more informed, etc., and everything better. Durham, 97. I thought he was relatively decent again. From what I saw, he's just that sort of barometer for what Essendon do, I think, and a 97 from him was pretty good. Caldwell as well, 94. I would like to see Caldwell full-time mid-next season, like a massive transition, which I think a pre-season of work can do, as I do think he would be the type of guy that can go in there full-time and really step up his game. Goldstein, 94. Ridley, 91. He is, again, just providing that sort of benchmark down the back. I think they just want the ball in his hands more, as it's just better suited. Menzie, 87, a breakout game for him. A lot more possessions. Would like to see his heat map to see where those possessions were being gotten from, as I did miss most of his scoring. As you can see here, I probably saw this part of the game where he scored 9, 11, 17. So maybe he needs me to not watch Essendon games for him to score well. Setterfield, another knee complaint as well, came back and has already done his knee or something. So that's a horror show for that. Perkins, 84, 34, 25, 25 again. So that was a relative game for him. And I just don't think I would much rather see, and I need to see the positioning for Perkins, but I'd just much rather see a midfield of Caldwell, Durham, Merritt for them, to be honest with you. And maybe Perkins is the fourth, or I would honestly probably Stringer is the fourth. Guelphy, 83. I mean, if he wasn't tagging, which is surprising him not tagging anymore, to be honest with you, he should have probably been tagging Nick Newman. He did actually impact the game, which is a good thing. 1 goal, 1 though. 2 goals, 1 actually, sorry. So yeah, that's actually a really good game from Guelphy, considering his position. Stringer, 70, Laverde, Gresham, Andrew McGrath here. Just, again, proving exactly what happens every single time he plays. Last year we saw this so many times and he was in my side. I was like, oh yeah, Andy McGrath, he's going to do so well. And he does this and you're just like, you're so close. He had such a good first quarter, and if he actually impacted here... Oops, sorry, that's off. Hopefully, let me just grab that again. There we go. I think that's back to where it should be. You see here, let me actually go onto this page and do it. It only impacted in the second quarter here. What about here when you're down here when you're supposed to impact in the first 20 minutes of the quarter? So I just don't know if they wanted in Andy McGrath's hands as much. I think they're more, and this is a weird thing, they want him as a distributor, but they don't want him because he's not too good by foot. But then he's also not too good as a lockdown player because his players always seem to score goals on him. So what do you actually want him for? Is the big question. Cox, 60, Langford, 56, Hine, 56. Yeah, we can just skip through everyone else here because they don't really matter. Except for Ben Mackay conceding a goal on... conceding free kick to Harry was quite funny, and him going on and kicking it. I did see the replay of that, and I saw the score, and I was just like, it would just so be uncanny for them, that goal that Harry kicked to be off a free kick from Ben Mackay, wouldn't it? And you'll see here what I mean by that in the free kick against there. Then we move over to Carlton, and this was a weird one. No Sam Walsh going well. George Hewitt, I think just the bigger, the sort of more contested body of George Hewitt doing really well. Elijah Holland's the one that's also been surprising as well in games. He can really take over games, and I think he was a really good pickup from Gold Coast because he is the type of player, and we saw this with Chad Warner 2 to 3 years ago. And I'm not saying that Elijah's going to be the next Chad Warner or anything. But we saw this with Chad Warner when he started to really get regular game time, is he would be able to take over and win a game or two a season. And I think Elijah Holland is one of those guys that is now starting to be able to win a game or two a season just off his impact per possession. And if he can get up to the regularity that we're seeing out of Chad Warner now, oh my, that could be dangerous. Tom de Koning, 63 in the back three with straight 21s and then 31 in the first. I think he's another ruckman that could really break out next year, averaging 84. So it will be a big discussion next year. Do you go for a Sherry Gawn combo or a English Gawn combo next year, or do you take a little bit of a gamble with de Koning, especially if they play the bye rounds, if he's going to be value or not, like flip him out the bye, etc. So that'll be a discussion that is probably going to be had. Nick Newman, 87. Sard, 86. Walsh starting to come down to earth. If he doesn't get tackles and non-disposal points, he actually... I'm wrong in saying that, because this was one of the games where he had like 4 marks, 6 tackles, and just didn't get disposals. I don't know whether it was a tag or anything, or whether it was just what went wrong, but I'm pretty sure he only ended up with like 20 touches in this game. Let me just double check that. Walsh ended up 22, 4 and 6. Yeah, it was the 4 free kicks against which negated his total. It would have been a 91 on 22 possessions if he had... 91 on 22 possessions if he hadn't given away the 4 free kicks. There was a lot of free kicks he just gave away that probably shouldn't have. Kemp 78, Cowan 71, Boyd, Kennedy, McGovern, Wiedering, Zach Williams again as a small forward. He's not going to score that well in Supercoach and Fantasy, but because of limited time to actually get the ball. But 2 goals there, they found something in Williams. Akers, Cripps had a stinker, which is quite weird considering he's up there and really having a really good season. So just an off game from him. Kerno, Mackay, Chincotta, Hoggins. I've said Hoggins and I've totally merged Hollands and Fogarty, which is quite funny. Hollands with a 44, and considering they both scored 44 here, that was quite funny. Fogarty 44, Owies 41, Carroll, I'm quite perplexed after that mess up. Carroll 25 and Durden 16. Yeah, it's really Carlton about the midfield and the impact players here. Because yes, you do have the Walsh hitting 22 touches, and he did do a lot of non-disposal work, but it's really the game changers in Hollands and De Koning who really, they don't rack up huge numbers, but their impact, and I'm going to say this in a weird way, their impact per fantasy point is really damaging compared to a lot of other guys. And the impact that Nick Martin had was so minuscule because of the turnovers and clangers. So yeah, I think that was a big part of it. And also kicking 9 goals 16 didn't help. But that pretty much is the video there going through Essendon versus Carlton. And I'll see you guys in the last game recap, which will be the max score master, not really class because they did lose by 40 points, but he did have a monster game. And then Nick Dacos sub out with no real injury there from what I've heard. So anyway, I'll see you guys in that game review next. Bye guys.